Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a Mega Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk all things Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I'm your host, Brady Vini, and today's report includes: are the Pittsburgh Steelers a lock to acquire this wide receiver? The Pittsburgh Penguins are showing up and showing out at the Four Nations face-off. A new Pittsburgh Pirate being injured headlines the Bucs' first week of spring training, and more. As always, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Now let's get into the first news story of the day. Are the Pittsburgh Steelers a lock to acquire this wide receiver? Over the past 10 days, the NFL's offseason wide receiver market grew by one more person, and to no surprise, the Pittsburgh Steelers are interested. That player is San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Deebo Samuel, who requested a trade after the season and was granted permission to seek a trade partner. On Tuesday last week, Steelers writer for Sports Illustrated Noah Strackbein dropped this nugget of news. Strackbein reports that Samuel is interested in coming to Pittsburgh and will be calling the Steelers, saying, according to a source from another NFL team, Samuel and his agent Tory Dandy are absolutely going to attempt to engage with the Steelers. On top of that, Pittsburgh Steelers now writer Alan Saunders added that the 49ers are reportedly seeking just a day 3 draft pick in return for Samuel. Now, all of that could be a moot point if, and most likely when, the 29-year-old receiver gets cut later this offseason. With what has been reported so far, the Steelers are among the top potential landing spots for Samuel. I'm still skeptical about how he performed last year, but if a former All-Pro player with that pedigree is available for little to nothing, I'd jump all over it. Still can't say the same for another player being linked to Pittsburgh in New York Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Needless to read aloud, my opinion on that idea aligns with Steelers safety Deshaun Elliott. Are the Steelers really thinking of making this bold quarterback move? Steelers quarterback rumors are circulating like crazy right now, and the juiciest one of all came out last Thursday. We have heard names like Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and more be potential targets for the Steelers, and now you can add this quarterback to that list. According to sports reporter and entrepreneur Ryan Burr, the Pittsburgh Steelers have made inquiries about trading for Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence, per someone inside the Jaguars organization. Burr added that the Steelers calling the Jags about Lawrence speaks volumes that it is likely Fields nor Wilson will return to the team next season. Alright, there are a lot of negatives to look at in this hypothetical. Lawrence will be entering his 5th year in the NFL, having not accomplished a whole lot, and is coming off a bad 2024 season while making a boatload of money on a new contract. Besides, the Jags are highly unlikely to trade him anyways and set their franchise further back than it already is. However, if the Jaguars were to shop Lawrence, I wouldn't be too upset at the Steelers if they brought in a young former first-round pick, at the right price of course. What do you think of this report from Ryan Burr? Would you try trading for Lawrence if you were the Steelers? Let me know in the comments below. The Steelers fill another open coaching position. So far this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't made any big changes to their coaching staff like head coach Mike Tomlin said there would. The only changes made thus far were the contracts of a few positional coaches not being renewed, with one new coach being hired. The Steelers let go of defensive backs coach Grady Brown for former assistant defensive backs coach Gerald Alexander, and now they have found inside linebacker coach Aaron Curry's replacement as well. Last Friday, the Steelers hired Dallas Cowboys linebacker coach Scott McCurley as their new inside linebackers coach. McCurley was hired by Dallas in 2020 and got good production out of the Cowboys linebackers over the last 5 seasons, but what makes him stand out are his ties to Pittsburgh. McCurley is a Newcastle native and played Whippeal football for Mohawk High School. He played football at Pitt from 1999 through 2002, later coaching there. And he got his first coaching job in the NFL under another Pittsburgh native and former Packers and Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. With McCurley now hired, I believe that fills all or at least most of the Steelers' vacant coaching positions, so it's full steam ahead towards the draft. Welcome back to the Bird, Scott McCurley. The first offseason roster cut for the Pittsburgh Steelers has been made. Entering this offseason, the Pittsburgh Steelers had the 13th highest salary cap space projection in the entire NFL at around $40 million. The black and gold could improve that space quite a bit with a few easy roster cuts, and the first of those cuts was made last Friday. Multiple sources reported that the Steelers released outside linebacker Preston Smith. The 32-year-old was acquired by the Steelers at this past season's trade deadline from the Green Bay Packers in exchange for a late-round draft pick. In 8 games for the Steelers, Smith recorded 13 total tackles, 6 of those solo and 3 for a loss, 2 sacks, and 1 forced fumble, but he rarely saw the field near the end of the season and was even a healthy inactive. Cutting Smith saved the Steelers $13.4 million towards the cap with no dead money cap hit and moved the Steelers into the top 8 for cap space at $54 million. Sorry, Preston Smith, it's just business, but best of luck at your next opportunity. The Pittsburgh Penguins are showing up and showing out at the Four Nations Face-Off. This past Wednesday, the NHL's Four Nations Face-Off began, and as if the tournament hasn't been extremely exciting enough already, those representing the Pittsburgh Penguins are opening a lot of eyes. Starting with Pens captain Sidney Crosby, through 2 games he is leading Team Canada in points with 3 assists, all 3 of those helpers coming in a dominant performance against Sweden on Wednesday night. I'll tell you what, I don't know if it's because he reunited with Mario Lemieux before Wednesday's game, or because this is his first time in a long time playing meaningful hockey, but Sid turns into a different animal with that red maple leaf on his chest. I don't think it's such a bold take anymore from Canada head coach John Cooper when he said, quote, "He will go down as the greatest player to represent his country." Next, defenseman Erik Karlsson also leads his country of Sweden in points through 2 games with a goal and an assist, but he is playing beyond those statistics. While continuing to contribute offensively, he is flashing defensive prowess that we haven't seen yet in a Penguins uniform. One thing's for sure, Karlsson has a lot more left in the tank than what people may think. As for his fellow Swede teammate and forward Rickard Rakell, he has passed the eye test through these first 2 games. Though he has yet to record a point in this tournament, Rakell has shown what a mistake it was by his country not having him on the team's initial roster. And last, but certainly not least, Penguins head coach Mike Sullivan has led the United States to a 2-0 start in the Four Nations face-off. As the main guy behind the bench, Sully had the US blow out Finland with a strong third period this past Thursday. 2 nights later, in an instant classic against their rival Canada, the United States caught the red and white off guard with a few early fights, and the rest was history. Team USA, led by former Penguin forward Jake Gensel with 2 goals, defeated Team Canada 3-1 and punched their ticket for the championship game on Thursday night. Round-robin play for the Four Nations face-off wraps up today in Boston with Canada versus Finland at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, followed by Sweden versus the United States at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Sidney Crosby receives a great honor from his junior hockey league. Speaking of Sidney Crosby, the Pittsburgh Penguins captain recently received a one-of-a-kind honor. On Tuesday last week, the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League announced that their Rookie of the Year trophy is now officially known as the Sidney Crosby Trophy. In addition to winning this QMJHL Rookie of the Year trophy in the 2003-2004 season, in a 2-year time span, Crosby scored 120 goals and 183 assists for 303 points in 121 junior games, also becoming a 2-time QMJHL MVP, a 2-time CHL Player of the Year, and he led the Rimouski Oceanic to winning the 2005 QMJHL Championship. With a resume that decorated, no one, and I mean no one, deserves this more than Sid. Congratulations, Sidney Crosby, on receiving this special honor. A new Pittsburgh Pirate being injured headlines the Bucs' first week of spring training. Pitchers and catchers officially reported to Bradenton, Florida last Wednesday for the beginning of spring training, and just like that, the Pittsburgh Pirates have been hit with the injury bug. News came out almost a week ago to the day from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Noah Hiles that the Pirates' biggest offseason acquisition, still pathetic to say that, and current starting first baseman Spencer Horwitz underwent surgery on his right wrist. More details came out the following morning that the procedure was done now 2 weeks ago to address chronic symptoms and that the recovery time is approximately 6 to 8 weeks. Besides the Bucs now being back to square one on finding a half-decent starting first baseman, it sounds like there's not much to get upset about, right? Wrong. Talking with reporters after Horwitz's injury was announced, Pirates general manager Ben Cherington said that he knew Horwitz had these chronic symptoms before trading for him. Are you freaking kidding me? Ben, you of all people, with a third baseman on your team who has had chronic back issues for years now, you should know that those chronic injuries are serious and they are going to bite you in the ass sooner or later. I am, and will continue to throw this back in your face each and every chance I get. But Ben, this is the one time that you should have lived by your life's motto, that quote, you have to be comfortable saying no. To make everyone feel better, when asked if the Bucs were on the verge of making a big move, Cherington answered, quote, we're not on the doorstep of anything. Fantastic. So with the closest thing they have to an MLB first baseman now likely to miss the start of the season, the Bucks will be looking for an internal solution out of backups, minor leaguers, or a player trying a new position. Holy hell. Anyway, here are some other news bits from the first few days of spring training. Paul Skeens is adding 2 new pitches to his arsenal with a 2-seamer and a cutter. Right-handed starting pitcher Johan Oviedo looks healthy after missing last season with Tommy John surgery. Right-handed relief pitcher Dari Moreta is doing the same thing even though he was just put on the 60-day IL. Former Pirates first baseman Daniel Vogelbach is back with the Bucks, but as a special assistant to the hitting coach. Even though he said he will never be 100% again, Pirates third baseman Ke'Bryan Hayes is feeling healthy and is experimenting with a new two-handed swing follow-through. Outfielder Brian Reynolds is moving from left field to right field as his primary position this season, with newly signed outfielder Tommy Pham playing in left. And, the biggest news of all, large letters and nameplates are back on MLB jerseys. Today is the final day for players to report to Bradenton, Florida for spring training, and this upcoming Saturday is the Pirates' first preseason game against the Baltimore Orioles at 1:05 p.m. And finally, this Pittsburgh Pirates legend will be enshrined wearing the black and gold. Back in December of 2024, the National Baseball Hall of Fame elected 5 new members as the class of 2025. One of the 5 members was former Pittsburgh Pirates right fielder Dave Parker, and last week, the Hall of Fame announced the cap selections for each player that will be displayed on their plaque in Cooperstown. With that said, the Hall announced that Parker will be enshrined as a Pittsburgh Pirate. The man they call the Cobra played for 6 teams in his 19-year career, but he spent those first 11 years in Pittsburgh. In those 11 years, Parker hit .305 with 166 home runs, 758 RBIs, and an OPS of .848, earning 4 All-Star nods, 3 Gold Gloves, the 1978 NL MVP, and a World Series championship ring in 1979. That resume with the Bucks alone is Hall of Fame worthy, so it was a no-brainer that he will be immortalized with the Pirates P on his plaque. Enjoy this one, Pirates fans, because after Parker, I don't know when we will ever see another player be inducted as a Pirate again. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up a Mega Monday edition of the Steel City Sports Report. Again, please be sure to like, comment, and share this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching, and thank you for coming back after I was off the past few days. I appreciate and love you all, and I will see you guys back here tomorrow with some more Pittsburgh sports news.